Hi, and welcome to Alley House Mindfulness Art Studio. Wanted to take a moment just to talk about what mindfulness art is. First of all, mindfulness is the experiencing of any situation you're in, being able to use your seeing, your hearing, your touching, any of your five senses. But not only does it include those five senses, but it's also the intuitiveness. Within the mindfulness art, we use our intuitive, I don't even know what the words are. I don't even know the right
It's
words.
okay. We'll keep talking.
Using your intuitive sense, listening to your intuition. With the art that we do is we don't plan anything. We don't say this is what I'm going to do in this section and this is what I'm going to do in this section. We start with one foundation, one basic point within any given art piece, and literally grow it out from there, using our intuition of along the way instead of pre-planning everything. And it really allows the creativity and your an expression of yourself to be able to flow through out into the art.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I did few of your workshop, actually painting, and a lot of times even myself with doing mindfulness, you think you're mindful, but you really it's all inner chatter still. But the color to choose, you show us how to pick the colors and patterns, and show us how to, of course, practice a little bit on a piece of paper first before we paint it on the actual wooden table. But I find that I have no idea that even so in meditation you can kind of just sit there and not do anything but watch the thoughts. But in actual painting, you actually have to do something. You take your hand, you dip your brush, or you dip the what do you call that? The tools that you gave us for the mandala. What do you call those tools?
Some of them are called stylus tools.
Okay.
The others are just dot painting tools.
Okay. So picking up those dot painting puts it into color that I want, and start. Sometimes in the mind is so there's a stuck level. I'm not sure I want to put this color. I'm not too sure if this is the color that I want. So a lot of stuff, it really helps to be okay without the self-judgment, to go ahead and paint it. Once it's paint, continue to flow and consistent. But the other part I like about it for learning to focus, because over time, whether I'm getting tired of painting, or tired of because my shoulders or my arms where I'm sitting comfortably or not, then I lose focus and concentration. I start to see my art kind of like not painted the way I want it to be painted on there, or it kind of move away from the straight line, the circle that I want it to be. So, but then it's to be also okay with that, and then change things up and begin to flow with it. So it's almost like another powerful meditations, allowing what comes through. Like you say, it in the intuitions. Normally we don't trust our intuition. We only trust by our mind. This is what I want. This is the color I want. We visualize the design or the art that we want in our mind. But when we actually painting and putting it on the piece of the table, I find it didn't look like what I want in my image. But I don't want to change it now, or it's too late to change it. Whatever reason that is, how do I continue to make it look nice? How can I change it? So I think it's a very, very powerful art class that you're teaching us. Even someone like myself, I recognize a lot of inner chatter that I have to kind of be okay, let it settle down, then I begin to flow okay with it. And over the few classes, I'm actually getting more creative flow that before I have this image. Even as a kid, I have this image I want to paint, but by the time I start drawing a piece of paper, it doesn't look like what I image. So I never really continue painting, but I always have this image. Wow. And then goes back to comparison. If I look at other people's painting an image, it doesn't really look. It's like I can't do this, right? But then being in your art class, allowing and accepting, you guide us to accept who we are. It's okay, there's no right or wrong, there's no mistakes. Then I begin to trust, hey, it's okay, I'm just gonna dot it, I'm gonna put the paint, no question. But I still have an image of it, but it's okay, my image change when I continue to change the art actual by putting the action. I think, I hope that helps. But it's an incredible, powerful class.
Yeah, a lot of the process that we walk through is literally allowing yourself to flow through the entire process. You can pick and choose your colors, and that's one planned piece of it, which I think is important. But when we do the mandala painting, a lot of people get intimidated by the big picture. Oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? This is amazing work. Like, there's no way I could do this. But they're looking at the big picture, but what they don't realize is you start with one circle. Just one circle. That's all you got to do is put one circle down. Then you start with the next row. And each row that you put down is the foundation for the next row. And so now you're only looking at one circle and 2 rows, and that's created the foundation for your 3rd row of circles, which has then created the foundation for your 4th row of circles. So when you look at a big picture that might have 26, 30 rows of circles with all of these details, you think, oh my gosh, where do I start? Well, when you come back to the simple concept of starting with one circle and then another row, all you're doing is putting one row of circles. That's all you have to do. And you do that, and then you put another row and another row, and it continues to build. And you don't really see the end result because you're actually in the flow. You're in the flow of the process of creating it. And when you're in the flow of the process, you don't see the change. Just like if you were to paint a wall a certain color, if you were to stand there and watch that wall dry, you'll never see it dry because you're in the process of watching it dry. So when you're in the process of creating these mandala arts, you're in the process of it. And then once you get to a point to be able to step out of that process and step away from it and look at the progress that you've made, you've come so far, you never realize, holy cow, like, look what I just created. And that's what it's about, is being able to be in flow and in the process, mindfulness, to be in the moment of it and create from within.
No, thank you. That's really powerful of sharing the progress. And I'm pretty sure you have a lot of this. The question I have is that because when people see the result, the pictures of all the completed mandala that people have done, your students, and even your own arts, it's very intimidating.
Yeah, it can
right?
be.
So if people look at it and they say, I want to do this, but I can't do it. And that's probably the most you get response.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what do you tell them? I mean, I was intimidated when you were really showing me those arts and pictures of all this mandala painting. I was like, I really can't do it.
We guide people. You have to trust in the process. Just like we guide people in meditations, just like we guide people in our Navigating the Mind workshops, we guide them. We don't tell them what to do. We don't tell them you need to do this or you need to do that. I lay out the process. There's a process to it. And the process is you start with one circle. You get a couple tips here and there about things that you can do, but you start with one circle and you just work your way out. That's it.
And I've seen the incredible results of, like, some of your students painted complete the actual mandala, even along seeing the process, where even myself conceptualize something that I visualize how it will look like, but I have no idea. And it turns out amazing. And they have different colors or patterns and theme. That even the colors that I might not even choose for myself, but it shows up incredibly beautiful art. And that's the process, like you share. That's not just about painting mandala, but to cultivate that intuition, expressions, the art, the creativity, that they can do this, and they actually did it and complete.
Yeah, and it's the mindfulness of it. It's the mindfulness of being able to be present with putting the dot tools into the paint, the consistency of the paint, and being in the presence of all of that. And what happens is when you walk through the process of creating this, you are cultivating that creativity with each circle that you put down, with each row of circles. You're allowing the flow of your creativity to come out without you even knowing it. And then when you step back away from it, when you step out of the process and step away from it and look at the big picture that you've created, then you can see it for its whole, the whole piece.
So why would somebody want to learn to paint mandala if they feel like they're not creative, they don't have the artistic talent? Why would they want
to do it?
Yeah.
And there's probably a number of different reasons, but the people that have already come and done the dot mandalas, I think most of them have said that they are not creative. They don't do art. Most of them have said that. And each one of them started the process out thinking, oh, good Lord, how am I going to do this? But again, we guide them through the process. And why would they want to? I think because people enjoy being able to create and cultivate that creativity, knowing or thinking that they can't, but wanting to. So they come to the class to learn how to do that and create their own piece of artwork that they're guided through the process of doing it. And it really, each one is its own unique piece of artwork, and that's what they get to take home with them and remind them. And in addition, using the mandala as a meditative type process. Not only is it a meditative type process when you're in the process of creating it, but it's also, the ones that I create or the ones that we make here, we turn them into little meditation tables. So when you're doing meditation, you can actually sit and use the table afterwards as a meditative type tool to look at your artwork that you've done and dive in and look at each row of circles that you painted and go back and remember thinking, when you did create it, that, oh God, I can't do this. And then you look at it for each circle and each row and see how it's grown and built and cultivated, and the progression of it, the whole process of it.
And I love how they can look back at from the beginning with the photos of the first dot, the first paint, the first color, as it continues to grow from in the center. I think most people was painting from the center and expand, and you can see the progress. Wow, we don't know what it looks like yet, but we focus on one at a time. Like you said, you guide them to be really focused on one at a time, and then by the time they complete the entire art, they realize they can do it.
Yeah, we started taking pictures of the entire transitional process of putting down that first dot and then the first row of circles and the second row of circles. And we started taking pictures of at the very beginning, and then 20 minutes in, and then another 20 minutes in, and it creates this excitement. It creates this excitement of going back and remembering when they sat down, how am I going to do this? And then you see a picture 20 minutes later of, holy cow, I created that? And then 20 minutes later, oh my gosh, there's no way that I could even ever think that I could do this. And so those transitional photographs are amazing to see that transition, just like in anyone's life. You know, like you don't think about what's going to happen over the next 10 years. But when you look back at the 10 years, it's like, holy cow, I went through a lot of stuff. And I made it through all of that. And look where I'm at today.
That's pretty amazing, because what resonated for me was that what I heard and actually seeing and paint along with your students and with your guides is where it's about believing. Come in, I don't believe I can do it. I learn. Still wasn't sure, but I break through it. Then by the time I'm complete, wow, I did this. You're actually helping people to have that courage. And I always talk about breaking free from our internal limited mind, how we judge and feel about ourselves, but slowly put that little focus on it and trust in the process, trust in the teacher, trust in themselves. Even though there might be a little some judgment, not sure about this, just keep going. You can't leave the class now. I mean, you can, right? But you're already in there for a few hours, so you must make the best out of it. And also, what I find is taking the time for ourselves. We've been so busy doing for others and in the world. But coming to the class is like taking the time, not because of the class, taking the time for myself. I want to learn this. I want to better myself. I want to improve myself. But what's better to improve yourself but to actually paint art that you can actually learn how to flow with things. So that's what I get from doing it.
Yeah, and what it's an additional level or additional benefit. It is that self-care of being able to come into a space like this and allowing yourself to just sit and release and relax into the artwork. And it's such a transitional process of coming in with your initial thoughts of when you walk in the door, of then sitting down with a short meditation at the beginning, learning the process, seeing the transition that you've been able to make throughout the first hour or two, and then sitting in, because it is a quiet space. There's not a whole lot of talking because everybody's so focused, and being able to sit and just release and relax and let all the thoughts just kind of flow through them and out. And that's really what Mindfulness Art Studio is about. Same thing with all the artworks that we do, they're all mindfulness artworks that create the same outcome of being able to take that self-care and relax and build that confidence of knowing that, and being able to walk out and knowing that they can create this beautiful piece of artwork for themselves that they would have never thought that they could have. So
thank you for sharing this. Well, my name is Choi Ying, and we have Holly, who is the owner of, can you go ahead and say?
Alley House Mindfulness Art Studio and Retreat Center soon.
All right, this is thank you for allowing me to share my experience with the art itself. And it wasn't that easy for me either, but learning to trust, learning to follow your instructions, and over time get better. Because I've been in 3 classes with you, and I sit along the corner and I do my own painting. There's a lot going on in our mind than you think it is, just sitting there watching someone paint.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more. This is where the mindfulness come from, the focus, the concentrations, right? The self-judgment, self-belief. So thank you so much.
Thank you.